Good day, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to work on adding and subtracting integers today, which is 1, 4, and 1, 5. We're going to combine our lessons together. I've already did a little pre-work set up here. I am missing a blank here, but I'll get to that in a second. Actually, I'll do that right now, and we're ready to go. So what we have, we're going to start off with talking about positives and negatives and when they're together in a problem. And I'm going to give you a little way to remember what happens when you have positives. Positives next to one another, positives in conjunction with one another, positives and negatives in conjunction with one another, negatives and negatives, which is the last one here. So the first thing we are going to start off with is this one right here. Positive plus a positive equals a positive. Okay, and here's how you're going to remember this. So bear with me. I'm going to get to the examples and it'll make sense. When you have a positive thing happen to a positive person, or a good thing, which is positive, happen to a good person, that's always a good thing or a positive thing. My example would be if we take the problem 3 plus, which is our first positive right here, plus 4, which is our second positive. Even though we don't have two positives next to one another, we have plus. We can assume that this 4 is a positive 4 because there's no negative sign in front of it. So it would be 3 plus a positive 4. We don't always express the positive numbers with the plus sign, or we never express positive numbers with the plus sign, but really you could. So we have 3 plus positive 4 equals a positive 7. Again, you wouldn't express that typically with a positive sign in front of it, but it shows that when you have two positives, you end up with a positive, or you are actually going to add 3 plus 4 equals 7. Okay? When you have a positive and a negative, or when positive or good things happen to bad people, when positive or good things happen to bad people, that's a bad thing. We don't want positive or good things happening to bad people. An example of that would be 3 plus negative 4. 3 plus negative 4 is like really saying 3 minus 4, because a positive combined with a negative automatically gives you a negative. These two areas right here gives you this negative. And that's going to end up being the answer, which is irrelevant here, negative 1. In this situation, we have negative people, or negative things.
Diana Kelly, if you're on campus, please stop by
Ignore that, please.
office.
We have negative
Diana
things
Kelly,
happening to
please stop
positive
by the
people
office. Thank you.
is a bad thing. So bad things, negative things, happening to good people is a bad thing. So in this case, we're going to have 3 minus 4. In this case, the 4 is a positive. And what that's really saying is we have negative things happening to positive people as a negative. So you're going to change these two to 3 minus 4, which is going to be negative 1, or the same as the last problem. In this case, we have negative things happening to negative people as a positive thing. So if we take the problem 3 minus negative 4, what we're really saying is, since you have two negatives next to one another, we're really saying 3 plus 4, which is going to equal 7. Hopefully that makes some sense to you. If not, we can talk about it further in class. Another way of looking at this problem would be saying 3 minus, or 3, what is the opposite? The minus means opposite. What is the opposite of negative 4? Well, the opposite of negative 4 is 4. So we got 3 plus 4 to actually make 7. I know it's a little bit confusing, but remembering the little trick on the positives and negatives and how they interact with one another, hopefully will be helpful for you, because I know it's a struggle in accelerated math for a lot of students. To a couple of examples, then I'll be done with the video for today. Example number 1, if we have a problem like negative 33, we're going to say negative 33 plus a negative, and I'm going to express it with a negative in this case, 6. Looking at this problem, this is not a division or not a multiplication problem, because we're adding a negative 6. So if you are confused by this, you would rewrite it as negative 33 plus negative 6. And we have a positive and a negative here. So if you go up to your little chart here, we have a positive and a negative together right here. We know that we could rewrite that problem as positive thing happening to bad people is a bad thing. So it's going to end up with be rewritten with a negative. So we got negative 33 minus 6, which equals negative 39. And again, the answer is irrelevant. It's what you're doing with the positive and the negative. Okay, so that'd be an example. of a problem that you may see coming up. And another example of a problem you may see coming up would be something like this. If you have a problem such as -9 minus x, here's where the algebra comes into play here, for x equals -20, you are going to write this as -9 minus whatever x is. And in this case, x is -20. So it's going to be -9 minus -20. So rewrite your problem when you're working through these problems on your assignment in class the next day here. In this case now, I have two negatives next to one another. Go back to my chart. A negative and a negative next to one another is actually positive. Negative things happen to negative people. That's a positive thing. So we've got -9. We're going to change this to +20. And -9 plus 20, you can do your simple math from there, is going to be 11. Again, hopefully that makes sense. Go back and review this part of the assignment, the number 1, the positives and the negatives together. If you got that part, the rest should make sense. It should flow. I always want to make sure that when you're doing these problems, if you have two negatives next to one another, rewrite what it's going to be. If you have a positive and a negative next to one another, rewrite the problem with the negative shown, because a positive and a negative give you a negative.